couple of stories on Standing Rock Sioux tribe and the oil pipeline company that is violating their land. I'm happy to say that I was wrong on 2 points. Not so much happy about the first point, but extremely happy about the second. I had originally thought that the federal court that's in charge of Indian affairs would have sided with the Sioux tribe in the devastation of their burial sites and their holy grounds. The court sided with the goddamn oil company. Fortunately, the Obama administration, and I believe it was specifically Obama pointing these guys in the right direction, and I'm almost positive of that, because 15 minutes after the court had issued their ruling that the oil company could go forward, the Department of Justice, the Army Corp of Engineers, and another governmental body came out with a edict that the pipeline company could not operate on the Army Corp of Engineers land that they controlled until a further study was undertaken. Translation, you boys aren't going to be able to get this pipeline done going this way. Now, just so that you know, the original direction that that pipeline was supposed to take took it nowhere near the Standing Rock Sioux Nation's land. But somehow, and I would really like to know how this happened, they were able to issue an updated set of plans that took that oil pipeline across that Sioux Nation land. Here's the story from Joy Reid. Lawrence O'Donnell did one last night as well. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that President Obama, I guess in his first term, had visited the Standing Rock tribe, and they had shown him a lot of things about their tribe and the land, etc., 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 to both he and Michelle Obama. And because of the media that got out there, when he was in Laos, day before yesterday, a student that was at the, I guess call it press conference or whatever, asked him a question about what was going on with the oil pipeline company and the Standing Rock tribe. And he didn't know anything about it. But he did say that he was going to have his people look into it. And true to his word, I guess when his people looked into it, and they informed him that he had been out to actually see these people, that he told them which way he wanted the wind to blow on this one, and that's the way the wind blew. Here's the clip from Joy Reid.
The Obama administration yesterday put a temporary halt on the construction of an oil pipeline in North Dakota, one that has been the subject of growing protests by the Standing Rock Sioux tribe, which says that the pipeline will destroy their tribal land and threaten their drinking water. Hundreds of tribes and environmental activists have joined the protest, with more arriving every day. This shocking video taken last week by Democracy Now! Shows private security guards for the pipeline company, Energy Transfer, using dogs and pepper spray on protesters who stormed the construction site. The Sioux are also fighting the pipeline in court, and on Friday, a federal judge rejected the tribe's request for an injunction to block the pipeline. But the Justice and Interior Departments, along with the Army Corp of Engineers, stepped in and ordered a temporary halt to construction on land controlled by the Army Corp of Engineers. They said, quote, "This case has highlighted the need for a serious discussion on whether there should be nationwide reform with respect to considering tribes' views on these types of infrastructure projects." The government is also asking the pipeline owner to voluntarily pause construction on nearby land. Energy Transfer has so far declined to comment. And let's bring in Jane Fleming-Klebb. She's the executive director of the advocacy group Bold, Nebraska, and also joining us on the phone from Cannonball, North Dakota, is the chairman of the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe, David Archambault II. So I'm going to start with you, Chairman Archambault. Give me your reaction to this decision by the Obama administration to halt construction on at least the federal government-owned part of this pipeline area.
Thank you, Joy. I just wanted to start off with the court ruling and the disappointment from that. But we knew all along that the deck was stacked against us, but we had to do something to try to build awareness, and we brought awareness. And yesterday we were on pins and needles waiting to hear from the judge's ruling, and then soon after the ruling came out, our hearts sank. But then when the Department of Justice, Department of Interior, and Department of Army released a statement which said that they would stop construction and not allow for the pipeline to go under our water, everybody was elated about the whole thing. It was good news, but I knew that it's not the end. We still have a lot of work to do, and we'll continue to move forward. But there's a good feeling, and we feel that all the prayers that have gone up are being answered.
And Chairman Archambault, have you heard from the pipeline company at the Standing Rock Sioux, heard from them as to whether they will heed the government's request to stop building on the part of the area that they have control over?
No, we have not heard back from the company yet. I know our attorneys have reached out just to see where they're from, but we're waiting for a response.
I want to play for you, Jane, what President Obama had to say about the pipeline protest. This was on Thursday while he was in Laos, and he was asked about the pipeline by a college student. This is what he said.
This issue of ancestral lands and helping them preserve their way of life is something that we have worked very hard on. Now, some of these issues are caught up with laws and treaties, and so I can't give you details on this particular case. I'd have to go back to my staff and find out how are we doing on this one.
And Jane, let's talk about how they are doing. The fact that it took the federal agencies to come in and stop this, even after dogs were sicked on the protesters, who call themselves protectors, not protesters, and you had the sheriff take the side of the company who sicked dogs on human beings, on men, women, and children. How is the federal government doing on striking this balance between these private companies and Native American tribes who've already been so dispossessed of land?
I will say that President Obama has done more to reach out and bring tribal governments to the table for these types of decisions, but obviously not enough. When the Army Corps statement made it clear that there is a need for national reform in order to protect not only sovereignty rights, but I will also add, since I work with farmers and ranchers all the time, there's national reform that's needed on eminent domain for private gain. We have big oil corporations that essentially are ignoring not only the sovereign rights of our Native brothers and sisters, but are ignoring the property rights of farmers and ranchers. And so we have pipelines going in that aren't even for American energy independence anymore. They're essentially all for the export. And so I'm hoping when Secretary Clinton becomes president that we actually do have meaningful consultation and meaningful reform. The Democratic Party platform makes it very clear that we do need to create new energy infrastructure that's clean energy infrastructure, and that folks have to be at the table. And so for me, this is a major step forward. On Keystone, we needed small little openings to open the door for us to eventually get the pipeline fully rejected. And so this is now that first opening in order to get the Dakota Access Pipeline fully rejected.
And Jane, just to stay with you just for a moment, because you mentioned eminent domain. I know there are a lot of conservatives who have a lot of concern about this idea too, that that land can be taken from property owners and basically given to big business. Can you talk about how eminent domain has been used in these pipeline projects?
It is mind-boggling, but in our country right now, a foreign oil corporation or an American oil corporation can essentially go in without any federal process and say, we're going to take your land, American citizen, and put in a pipeline that you may or may not want. And a lot of these landowners don't want these pipelines, but their back is up against the wall because the American government system on eminent domain, which used to be for roads, transmission lines, and schools, is now being used for private pipelines. And the problem initially was that these were small pipelines kind of servicing communities. That's for public purpose. But now we're talking about massive pipelines, 20, 30, 36, 42-inch pipelines that essentially are all going to the export market. And so for the Republican Party to essentially have in their platform that they stand up for eminent domain, but then continue to turn around and support every single pipeline is pure hypocrisy, and one that Bold and folks like the chairman are going to start doing jointly together. We're not going to stand anymore for big oil to not only trample on the sovereign rights, but we're not going to take it on property rights either.
Yeah, and as we go, Chairman Archibald, I just want to ask you a final question. I feel like I have to ask you this about the people who were bitten by dogs that were unleashed by this private company. How are those folks doing? And have you heard from the Sheriff's Department about whether anything is going to be done about that?
You know, that was an unfortunate incident, and I blame the company. This company is a bad company that came in, and they gave the direction to destroy and desecrate our sacred sites. And with that decision, the confrontation took place where dogs bit peaceful protesters, and pepper spray was sprayed on a couple dozen people. And the problem with this whole thing was the sheriff only took statements from the security company. We had people who were physically injured. We had puncture wounds from dog bites, but the sheriff today has yet never asked the question or interviewed the victims that got injured from the camp, from the people protest. And that's unfortunate. And we're still asking, if you're going to do a thorough investigation, you got to look at both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we would definitely welcome the Sheriff's Department to come on the show, as well as anyone from Energy Transfer who'd care to come on and talk about this. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you, Jane Fleming Kleb and Chairman Dave Archibald. Thank you both for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome, Joy.
Thanks, Joy.